Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I know I've been away for a bit, but we have some reactions for you from that interview of Michael Owen on Rio Ferdinand Presents. Now, for those of you that don't know, Rio Ferdinand interviewed Michael Owen over the last few days, and they were talking about a lot of things. They spoke about England managers, they spoke about his comparison and who was better between him and Wayne Rooney at the age of 17, 18. They spoke to him about even him winning the Ballon d'Or, what that meant for him, and if he feels like there's anyone on his level that could do it as well, and there's so many other things he spoke about in this interview that I think it's so important that we react to it. So stick around and just stay with me because I have a lot of things that you may think it's this Wayne Rooney comparison, or you may think it's the things that you hear the media speaking about. But now I'm going to actually break down this interview and bring you two key things of this interview that I find very interesting that he spoke about. And I want us to have a discussion about it, and I want us to feel free to comment below also after this video and give me your breakdown on what you think of what he was saying and if you agree with Michael Owen. So Michael Owen won the Ballon d'Or at the age of 17. For a lot of y'all that don't know, that is a massive achievement for a man, one, coming from England, first of all, and two, at that age, especially in the era Michael Owen was actually a striker. It was actually hard for him to win this award. In that time he was a striker, they had strikers like Robbie Fowler, Andy Cole, Alan Shearer, just to name a few. And as we know, those are prolific strikers that we talk about, Premier League greats. And as a 17-year-old winning at that time, it's a good achievement. It's a really big achievement. And so the respect is due to Michael Owen. And yes, he has messed up his career in terms of him going from Liverpool, going to Real Madrid, then going to United. A lot of people didn't really see him as a legend of their club because of the parts in which he took. But at the end of the day, when you're that good, you're that prolific of a goal scorer, whether your hamstring is split into or not, it just shows that quality still gets you through the door at certain clubs, especially when they have really good managers. So I don't want to rant on too much about his history of Michael Owen, because we have Wikipedia and we all can Google who Michael Owen really is. But what I want to talk about is, one, him making a comparison between him and Wayne Rooney, which he didn't really try to make such a comparison. All he was saying is, at that age, he was better than Wayne Rooney, but not saying Wayne Rooney wasn't a really good player. And he also said and showed a lot of respect, saying that Wayne Rooney was able to have such a long career instead of him, and that is why he respected Wayne Rooney so much. Now, there is a lot of things within this interview that we may have missed, but I want you to pay attention to the first thing that I think was key. He spoke about something of the sort of basically patriotism. Now, he spoke about the main importance of English, Spanish, different countries using the best of the best and using their own to produce the best in an international tournament. Now, I'm not against what he's saying, so I want you to hear and listen to what he's saying, and then we're going to discuss this first part. So just listen to this for a second.
Isn't international football like our country against your country? And we play every single week, sometimes more than once a week, in the league, when any player, any manager, any physio, any doctor, anyone from anywhere can come and get a job and be, elite in the Premier League. And we have the most incredible competition all year round of the best playing in one league. The one time it's our country against your country. And then you've got like a foreign manager of virtually every country in the world, and then on the bench they'll have all their the same nationality of coach, and then the doctor, and then this, and then that. Isn't that just defeating the whole purpose of international football? This is about us, England. We've got the best coach, the best players, the best physio.
Hey, now, Michael Owen speaks a lot of crazy stuff sometimes, right? But I must give him a bit of respect for this point, because a lot of times we may we may look at the situation, and a lot of us don't really understand how patriotic international football is for a lot of these guys. And many times it may seem like, well, it's a hard thing for us to understand. But a lot of these guys, people just want to represent their country and play for their country. So when you hear a lot of these ex-footballers and old footballers talking about, the situation and how it's working and how would they fix the international football sphere, it shows you that football means a lot to these guys than internationally than people really think. Representing your country is a massive thing. Every person who has played football, I promise you, have wanted to represent their country of some sort. Especially when you've played football at a decent level, semi-pro and upward. You really want to try to represent your country. Come back, show your skill on the international level. And let's not also forget, international football is one of the only professional leagues that amateur players are able to play and are deemed professionals in that moment. So listen again, and that is key. You can be an amateur player, but the minute you play in an international tournament, that is a professional tournament. So in that period of time, you are deemed or seem to be a professional footballer. You have a registration through Fifth Pro and all that happens. So there is things that happens when you play international football that deems you as a professional footballer. But then it brings out the patriotic side of things, where people actually just want to play for their country and show the best that their country can hold. Now, there's pros and cons to that concept. Because what about the smaller countries who don't have the development of, say, England, Germany, Spain, France, all those places, who don't have the structure in their associations, nor the leagues, nor the professionals to feel a team that can suffice that amount of brilliance? And yes, I do understand within that now, that forces your association to then go and get the people that is necessary by making those locals get up to speed, get them the experience, get them the knowledge, get them the understand, the teaching, get them certified, get all those things for people from your country. But by the time all these things happen and take process, the country that you are talking about might be way behind. And then we can't really afford to take those steps when you're a smaller country, say from a population of say 100,000 people. You're competing already with a pool of people of millions. You're already at a disadvantage. How many doctors, how many professional footballers are in that country? How many of the people that you need to be a part of staff is available in that country? Does that country even have anyone at all that can fill that role? So there's so many other things that we have to pay attention to that, Michael Owen doesn't really understand, because he's from a big country and he's from England. And as I say many times, a lot of these people don't understand what it's like to come from a smaller country and understanding that there are a lot of barriers in place that stop these smaller islands and these people from smaller countries from having a professional career. So then he also goes on and talks about managers, and he spoke about the situation of Harry Kane leaving, and he was not happy that Harry Kane left. And he also spoke about him winning the Bundesliga means nothing when Harry Kane was so close to becoming the Premier League all-time goal scorer. And that was a really good point he made too, because honestly, no one's going to remember Kane winning the Bundesliga, but what they are going to remember, if he continues to smash all those goals in the Bundesliga, they remember that. And especially if he leaves the Bundesliga scoring as many goals as his trajectory is showing now, to then come back to England and break that record, that also can show Michael Owen that that point could be pulled down. But he made some really good points in this interview. There was another point that he made about, as I'm saying, the managers, and he also spoke about England's FA and the setup in which players are not being able to have a pathway into the first team. And you know what? As much as Michael Owen might say a lot of crazy things, again, as I say, this is a big point. And I think this should not only be a model for the English Football Association, but it should also be a model for a lot of associations around here that don't allow their younger players or don't have a system for the youth players to go into their bigger leagues, their Premier Leagues, and be able to then gain the experience to become better players. Now, this is what Michael Owen had to say about that, and I totally agree with that.
A generation of brains,
Coaches.
a generation of coaches. I looked at it and thought, sod that. And do you know what all that happens? This is going on a tangent here. We keep winning.
I love it, don't worry.
So he's about to go on. So he was talking there about him not wanting to go into management. He said that when he looked at the player system and he looked at the coaching system, it just did not make any sense to him to get into coaching. And can you blame him? There's actually no pathway for managers or for coaches, English coaches, for managers or players to actually go from into have a system where they actually have a chance at the higher level. They actually are a bit at a disadvantage in their own country, which I find is crazy when you have all these visa rules that allow them to be able to play in Europe, get work visas and all these things. So listen to what he had to say about that situation.
We keep winning these youth tournaments. We've won it again, under 21s.
Lee Carsley.
Again. But the players now, I'm going back to the players. We won it 2 years, 4 years. We retained it. We've won the under-19s a few years ago. Steve Cooper won it. We've won all kinds of 17s, I think, have won it. We win youth competitions. And rather like our pathway for managers that I've just mentioned, we're quite clearly bringing the best players through.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're beating Portugal and Spain and Germany and all these nations. And then all of a sudden, these guys go back and they go and play 50 games for Lisbon or Boa Vista or Leverkusen or whatever because they can get in these teams. Our team, let's say a Liverpool wide player is one of the... So let's say Harvey Elliott.
Yeah,
He's never going to play instead of Mo Salah. Never in a million years.
And wary.
And he's not lying. Think about it. There is a lot of these guys. I don't know if you all really study youth football, but England has been a worry for the last 3-4 years. And let's be honest, over the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, their youth systems has been really good. They've been winning youth tournaments for a while. So it's nothing new. You know, if England sent their best team to the Olympics, they probably would have caused a lot more trouble than people think. So it's just, it makes so much sense what he says about this. There is not a lot of English players that actually have a pathway into their first teams in England. A lot of them end up going to championship teams and working their way up. A lot of them end up being, and that is why you see English players are so expensive to clubs, because they are a rarity in terms of when a top English player moves, or even an average English player moves from another club, he's worth minimum 50, 60 million. You know, if Marcus Rashford was moving to, as we saw, Aston Villa, he was valued at a 40 million. He moved to Barcelona, it became 23 million. So there's a lot of things that stops these English footballers from having a pathway into the first team and being able to become those 100 million pound players. This is why you see the Declan Rice, you see a Jude Bellingham who went to Borussia Dortmund, or Declan Rice who stayed at West Ham his whole career, were able to become 100 million pound players because they were able to be in those clubs, settle, have a chance to develop, become 100 million pound players, and that's how they were able to now live up to that as well, because it became rhythmic to these guys that they can play the game, that they can play the game at this level, that they can make mistakes at a young age, work on it, become better, and be able to like be expressive and express themselves on the football field. So that is one of the best things Michael Owen has ever done, is this interview. I respect him so much after this interview. This interview took his punditry. He needs to throw that in the garbage, bring back this person, and start to now encourage and give intelligent opinions like what he's doing right now in this interview. I don't know why it took him so long to bring out this side of him, but it's really good what Rio Ferdinand did for the world to see this side of Michael Owen, because everyone will jump, as I say, on the comparison with Rooney and whatever. But these are the key points for me from this interview that made so much, that really would really put the FA in a position to make some serious decisions, because he did make good points. You know, the patriotism, maybe FIFA can look into that, where everybody of that set of that team or works with that team has to be from that country. There can be rules that are played within that to allow the football to be a bit more interesting. But the key one was the pathway to the kids from England winning all these youth tournaments, not being able to feature themselves in top English clubs, and then players from other countries are being bought who played in those same tournaments with those English players for 100 million. And then now you have PSR rules that force you to sell your English players to other teams, foreign. So then now you still don't have the English players staying in England playing the best football. Because when you think about it, you have the Ruben Loftus-Cheeks, you have Tammy Abraham, and I'm not saying they're the best England have to offer, but I'm just saying there's so many English players now that's English that is not playing in England, that have a chance to make England's national team. So it speaks a lot of not only the league, but also the structure of the FA, and I think they do have room to improve that. And I think they do have some room, and I think they should pay attention to that point made by Michael Owen, because it's a very important point. And I think as FAs need to do more in the development of their players, because I find now, because football is becoming so much of a brand and money generative, and everyone's thinking about themselves, and everyone's thinking about how their national team can win and not how they can develop a better system. It's forcing a lot of grassroots football to be at jeopardy. It's forcing a lot of smaller countries to not be able to develop, and that is not a good thing, because the main point of football was to also, of FIFA, was to also help younger countries develop. So yes, people, it's been your boy Yaya, always bringing you a different perspective to the football, of course, because we have had a different journey. We have come from different places. We understand football in a different way. It's just right that I make you see that football isn't always just black and white. There's a lot of gray areas to this thing. So yes, people, don't forget always, please, to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications, so Yaya can continuously keep bringing you great content going forward. Have a good day. Take care, my people. It's been your boy. Ciao.